Good morning, y'all. Ariel up this morning bright and early before work. Just wanted to talk to y'all. I like to look at nature a little bit sometimes before I go to work. I don't know what those purple flowers are, but I'm going to make it my business to find out, search it out, and see if there are any medicinal qualities to them. But there's a whole lot of goldenrod. If you can see the yellow flowers, that's the goldenrod. And I haven't seen goldenrod in a long time, probably since I left New York State. Yeah, it's beautiful. But anyways, I'm out here this morning trying to get my thinking cap on right. I always do this. I like to do a little bit of meditation and nature walking before I go to work, get my mind right. Now, usually I'm on here and I'm talking about my childhood, and my childhood wasn't all bad. It was not all bad. I don't want to make it sound that way, but it's just like when I come on here, please know I am not an expert, nor am I a doctor, nor do I play one on TV. I'm just trying to work out all my crap like everybody else. So when I come on here, it's because I've discovered something about myself or that might help somebody. I don't know. It may not help anybody. It might just be entertainment for somebody. I don't know. But anywho, I was thinking the other day, about my relationship with my mother and how it altered me for the better. What it did for me, because I had this thought in my head, I guess, as a child, how I wanted my mother to be. And my mother was very much not like the mother in my head. Like I had a mother in my head. She was like Claire Huxtable. You know what I'm saying? And she knew the right things to say, and she's very professional, and she was very sweet and kind and all these things. But I got more of a mom like Chris Rock's mother. And not that there's anything that was wrong with everybody hates Chris's mother, but I wanted Claire Huxtable. Do you understand? So for me, it was like we were like two abrasive items bumping into each other. And so I love the sunshine in the morning too. Usually it's shining between these two trees, and it's not right now. Okay, let me get back on task. So because she was more like everybody hates Chris's mother, it was hard for she and I to get along. And some of the things, if I could have recorded them that went on in our house growing up, man, that could have been a TV show. I'm telling you, seriously. But I don't know where my preconceived notions of what I needed a mom to be came from. I don't know if they were embedded in me from birth. I don't know. I don't know if it's something I picked up. I have no idea. It could have stemmed from, being, raised by my grandparents and how my grandmother was. And she was very nurturing and very... she was just a hands-on kind of mother, and in defense to my mother was younger. She was a teenage mom when she had me. So I'm sure things came a little bit difficult or harder for her because, her age or whatever and her experience. But anywho, what it did for me with my daughter is it made me highly sensitive to the needs of children. It made me super sensitive when it came to other children. And even, when I remember when my mother and her friends or whatever would go out, and I'd be the designated babysitter, whether I wanted to be or not. And I was like, I'm tired of watching kids and whatever, and while y'all go and have fun. I'm young. I'm supposed to be enjoying my life right now. But, adults don't listen to kids. I was told, you be quiet. You watching these kids. That's what it is. You're going to learn some things while you're watching these kids. So, I would watch the kids and I would just make the best of it. And I try to make their time fun because, kids, it's not fair to them either for them to hear me gripe and moan about it for however many hours until their, prospective mothers came back. So, I feel like I'm rambling, but on back to task. So growing up with my mother, what it did teach me was that I knew there was a different way to be a mom. Something deep inside of me said, nope, this ain't right. I know there's a different way to be. I know there's a way to be what I like, to have that kind of mother I want to see. I'm going to be that for my daughter. And so what I would do, I didn't really, wild strawberries, look at that. Isn't that crazy? But anyways, y'all have to forgive me. I love, I find pleasure in simple things nowadays. But so beautiful. Here comes the sun. But anyways, so when I had my daughter, I was just kind of like, she and I, we're going to have that relationship. We're going to tell each other everything. I'm going to listen to her issues when she comes home from school. We're going to talk about everything. We're going to have that relationship that's just beautiful. We're going to have that Claire Huxtable relationship. And unfortunately, they don't have Claire Huxtable on TV anymore. I guess you can get it on certain TV channels. But I was bound and determined to have a girl. In my mind, I would have one girl. That one girl would be my one child ever. And I would pour everything of myself into her. And I would dedicate life to her being something more and something better than myself. That was my mindset. That's what I was going to do. Well, this ain't Build-A-Bear, so I got 2 boys first, and the boys just kind of think she's just like this princess that used to get her way or whatever, and I'd be like, shut up, you should thank the Most High for her, because if she would have came before you, she would have been it. That would have been all. That would have been all she wrote, but she didn't. She came at the end, and we went through our little things, but for the most part, I was a very hands-on kind of mom. And so right now for them, they're enjoying, because they're older now and they're adults now and they can have their life. It's weird for them, for me not to be there with my hands all up in the stew, so to speak. Like the old folks used to say, stop stir in the stew. Don't stir the stew or whatever. But anyways, when they were growing up, I was like hands on, and then they knew there were going to be certain things, because you know how you're supposed to create your own little rituals that you do with your family, or your traditions that they called it, or whatever. So the tradition at our house was, whenever mom's off work on the weekends, what she's going to do, she's going to get up early and she's going to make us a homemade breakfast. And we're going to come down to breakfast. We're going to eat that breakfast. And then we're going to spend time, unless we got things to do, because usually the weekends were spent carting them around to different activities like sports and games and, whatever they had going on with their friends, little parties and whatnot. Because my motherhood was spent cooking, cleaning for them, and attending school functions, after school functions and other functions. So when they were younger, it's like I started their learning how to do ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, all that good stuff. Trying to teach them different languages, which was very hilarious for some of them. And working a full-time job, volunteering on another job to try to get a better job, to try to meet the needs of my family, of my children, and making sure that they had like a somewhat decent, childhood. And, they tell me now that like, you were the best ever, of which I know that's not totally 100% true, because I don't know a mother alive that wouldn't say, I wish I would have done this different, or I wish I would have did that different, or I wish I would have tweaked that a little bit. Maybe then I would be happy with the job that I did. But nevertheless, I enjoyed, like, when my daughter came and when my sons came as well. Like, when my sons, each one of my children taught me something different. Like, for real. Like, they taught me something different, not only about them, but about myself. They taught me things that were priceless. And this going from a person that said, if you would have asked me as a young adult, how many children are you going to have? I would have told you none. I was like, absolutely not. I'm not going to do this children thing. I've babysitted kids all my life, other people's kids. I don't really want to deal with any kids, of my own. That's what I thought, because my mother had 7 kids, and I had to help her take care of, or whatever, those 7 kids. And to me, I was like, good Lord, woman, that's a lot of kids. You don't need all them children. What all them children for? But anyways, what ended up happening when I had mine was that they gave me a different outlook, not only to life, but to myself and to children, period. My oldest, I spoiled. I tell him all the time, I rent you. I messed you up because I made you think like life is about stuff, and I bought you all this stuff. And he would eat I was always in a rush with him. I had 2 jobs trying to support him and myself. And he would be like, I just want to spend time with you, and I just want us to be together, and da-da-da-da. And I was like, baby, I got to work. I got to take care of an apartment, and you got to buy you clothes, got to buy you food, got to do all this stuff. So he we used to eat at restaurants a lot because we were always on the go. So he would just be like, I don't want restaurant food. I want you to cook at home. I want to eat at home. That's food. This is not food. I'm like, boy, if you don't stop, can't you eat it? Don't you smell it? Don't it taste good? And he just didn't, he wanted a different type of life. So he was like, he was very much so like I was growing up. Like, I had this idea in my head of how my family life should be as a child, and that's what I wanted, and I wasn't hearing nothing else. And my oldest son was kind of like that. So then I had my middle son, and there was like 8.5 years between the 2 of them. And everybody looked at me like I was crazy, like, what the hell? Girl, are you nuts? What are you doing? You're almost home free. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. You have one of those times when you just think, oh, I want a baby. And he came, and he was so sweet. He was like perfect. He didn't cry when he wasn't supposed to. He didn't complain. He was so intelligent, super intelligent child. And then it came to the immunizations, and everything changed. But that's a different video. But yeah. So he was like, Jordan was like, oh my goodness. If they say perfect child, Jordan was like a perfect child. And I remember when he was little, he was like not quite 2, he would get on the computer and he would lock his father and I out of the computer. And his father thought like I was playing tricks on him, like, did you lock me out of the computer, and why? And if you have those skills, then you should be using them for the good of mankind. And I said to him, I did not touch the computer because I don't know. I wouldn't know how to lock the computer. And he said, you're telling me Jordan did it? And I'm like, Yeah, he must have, because I didn't do it. And he'd just be like, oh my goodness, are you kidding me? So we set up a camera eventually, and he would sit on the computer. He was just obsessed with the computer, and he would play on the computer for hours at a time. And so, and of course, like, eventually he locked it, and his father caught that he locked it, and he said, that's crazy. I'm afraid of what this child is going to be when he grows up. And I was like, I'm not. I'm stoked. I'm happy. It's pretty awesome. So, so then, moving ahead 3.5 years, we bring my daughter Nia into our lives. And this little girl, I don't like that view, but this little girl to me was just like so intelligent, too intelligent for her own good. And she was just so full of life, and she still is. But each one of my children are just very, very headstrong. They're very headstrong, and I can't get mad at them because that's how I was growing up. So I know now the drama and the trauma I put my parents through. Oh my gosh, when I stop to think about that. All the drama and the trauma they went through just raising me. Poor things. I wore them out. I'm sorry. Mommy, I'm sorry. Daddy, I'm sorry. But my daughter came along, and we didn't want to her dad didn't want to put her in school because it's my angel, not my angel. My angel can't go to daycare. Oh no, we're going to leave her at home. So we tried that for a while. It wasn't working because he was working 2 jobs. So I dropped down to 1 position and tried to we made whatever ends meet that had to meet. Or whatever, we went, without a lot of things, just so they could have someone home with them and be taken care of properly. So I did work in the daytime, and I was like, I really don't know why I'm working, because it goes to daycare. So then we didn't want to send our daughter to daycare, but I was like, well, that's unfair to send Jordan to daycare. But we made it work. And then she was such a sweet baby and such a cutie pie, and everybody loved them because they were such well-behaved children. And I really can't take full credit for that, because it's just like, I don't know, the Most High, the prayers and all the fasting and all that stuff must have worked, because they turned out pretty good. But back to subject at hand. So as she was growing up and everything, and she was getting a little older, and I would talk to my children like they were adults, miniature adults. And I got a lot of flack about that from other people. Like, you can't talk to children that way. Children need to be talked to a certain way, and you have to be gentle with them, and you have to be this with them, and you have to be that with them. I was like, oh no, not my kids. My kids are intelligent. I don't need to talk to them like that, because they already know. They good. They're smart. They are loved. And they know they can be as creative as they want to be. And they know they can talk to me about anything. So I didn't worry about that sort of thing. But what happened was, because I was so hypersensitive to not having what I wanted as a child, I allowed my children to tell me, not to how to parent them, I allowed them to tell me what their likes and dislikes were. I allowed them to talk to me and have that relationship or that rapport with me of telling me, Mommy, this and that, or Mommy, this is what happened in school today. I won't say I was their friend, but I would say I listened, and my ears were perked for specific info or information or intel that would help me better parent them. And so because I knew their friends, I knew their teachers, I knew the favorite teachers, I knew the teachers they didn't like, I knew the teachers they avoided, I knew all of that. Do you understand? Because I was told from my grandmother growing up, a woman has to know everything about her household. That means every person in your household is your study. So you need to know what your son and your daughters like and don't like. You need to know what your husband like and don't like. You need to know it all, girl. And you need to, and not only that, you need to know what the favorite things are. You need to know what they like least of all, and need to know what they like most of all. And you need to make your home an environment of learning and growing and health, being healthy. And that's emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. Like we always said that in the house. So my daughter felt comfortable in voicing certain things. And I didn't because my grandparents and my uncles and my aunts didn't make there a difference between my boy cousins and the girl cousins. We grew up all enjoying the same amenities. If we wanted to go hunting with the men folk, we got to go hunting with the men folk. Only they would say, listen, I don't want no crying. We don't cry at the hunting lodge. We don't do that. So if you're going to go, you're going to go. You're going to shut up. You're going to go and you're going to do what you have to do. You're going to carry some bags. You're roughing it. So you're going to have to act like everybody else. Ain't nobody going to coddle you. So, it was like, all right, okay, I got this. But, so when they were growing up, I was more of the one that was like the hugger and the kisser. My children totally changed me. I was not that person before them. Like, I wanted to give them hugs and kisses because I needed them to know that they were loved. Because when I grew up, I wasn't quite sure. And it's not saying that, my mother did anything wrong. It's just that every child that you have has to be parented in a different way. Every child that you have is going to have different needs. It's up to the mother to nurture and find out what it is that child needs. It really is. And I understand we all have different things to do. Because let me tell you something. Hunting. There have been many a days when I had come home from work and I get home and my daughter says, well, I need this for school, or I have this project, or I need 200 and whatever cupcakes. And I had to run out to Costco's, go get it. You understand what I'm saying? So I had to fit the need such as it was. I couldn't expect my husband at the time to do it because he had 2 jobs and he had stuff going on. So I had to do whatever it was I had to do to make life work for me and the babies. So if it meant that I'm running out at 2 in the morning to Costco's to get some stupid cupcakes, I'm going to get them stupid cupcakes, and I'm going to serve them stupid cupcakes with a smile on my face. I surely am. But nowadays, I don't know what the disconnect is or why we don't, it seems that people don't care as much about one another as they used to. But for me, my children being happy and experiencing life till its fullest, such as it was for them at that time, I had them for them to be healthy, happy adults, not for them to be crying all the time, disgruntled and unhappy people. I had them to make sure they got what they needed, and I had them because I wanted that experience. I wanted the experience of being a mother. I wanted the experience of having children and interacting with them. So I showed up for them. So that meant if they had after school things to do, that's what I did. If it hurt their feelings because daddy wasn't there, oh no, you ain't gonna be a no-show at the after school situation. You gonna have your booty there front and center, and I don't care if you have to sleep during the presentation. I don't care if you don't even like it. Act like you like it. Smile, clap hands, clap. It's time to clap, 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 clap. Okay. Smile. Look at your daughter. Yeah, now look at your son. Okay, great. Thank you. You can go back to sleep now if you want. But it was a thing of them feeling like their mother and their father was present. You know what I mean? They were present there for whatever they were doing. And I don't care. Even if it was something hokey or something strange or stupid, I was there because I wanted them to know mommy and daddy always got you. When nobody else got you, mommy and daddy got you. You can bet that. You can really bet that. So moving forward to today, there were times I had to talk with my daughter when I really just wanted to sleep. But we're having conversations about her day and her friends and what I think. And then a lot of those times were times that I could talk to her about the scripture or what the word said. And she would be like, yeah, but what does that mean? And we have, in-depth conversation about different things, and anything I didn't know, I'd be like, go ask your daddy. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know everything. Do I look like I know? I don't know. I don't know everything. That's why your daddy here. Go ask your daddy too. So, so she would ask her dad, and dad was more of a, ask your mama, because that's what mamas do. I don't do that. And, but what I learned to do was to not just tell them what to think, but talk to them about what did they think? What did they think the answer was? Okay, you did this, that got you in trouble. What do you think you should have done differently? What do you think you will do next time this situation comes about? Let's hope it doesn't, but if it does, or another situation similar to, what would you do different? So it got them thinking, you know what I mean? It helped them use their noodle, so to speak, and nurtured them and gave them the confidence that they could do whatever it was that they could put their mind to doing. So, and now when I talk to my daughter, who is now 19 and going to school and working part-time, of which I didn't want her to do, I wanted her to have we had worked a certain specific formula that it wasn't able to be followed because, during the time that she was graduating, we were going through a divorce, and it was very devastating for her. So during that time, she wasn't concentrated on the things. She wasn't focused on the things that she should have been focused on, because for her world was changing. And which devastated me, which made me work even harder because I felt guilty, for certain reasons, but we won't get into that. But anyways, she decided after graduating, she would take a year out of school, of which I didn't want her to do. And it was just this whole thing of, we spent months and weeks of trying to talk her out of it. But I was like, at the end of the day, this one right here, yeah, she like both of our attitudes rolled up into one, and she gonna do what she want to do. So we just may as well get our minds right and go ahead and know that's what's gonna go down, and just muddle through it. And that's what we did. And then she got tired as she worked a job and saw that it wasn't all it was cracked up to be. She enrolled into school all by herself. Nobody had to tell her, okay, it's time now. She just went and did what she did, So I guess the moral to the story is, being that she tells me now that she had the best childhood ever, even with the divorce. She had the best childhood ever, of which I was surprised. I was floored. I was flabbergasted. She had the best childhood ever, and she wouldn't change a moment of it. And I was like, what? Are you serious? And she'd be like, even though. I was like, even though, mommy, it was the best childhood ever, and I would not change it. You were an awesome mommy. I'm going to be the exact same kind of mommy you were to me, I'm going to be with my kids. And I need you to get your midwife license because I want you to deliver your grandbabies. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, pressure, no pressure. But she said, because I know what you went through, mommy, and I know what you gave up for us. And it was never a question for you. And it wasn't. It's like I gave up several careers for my children because to me, it meant more. What meant more to me than the money was the fact that they were healthy and happy and they didn't experience any of the bull swanky that I had to experience as a child. So accomplishing that, and I've heard the same thing out of all three of their mouths, and I'm just like, even my middle child who's autistic, and he will say to me, you know, hey, mommy, I'm proud of you. And I'm thinking, no, I'm proud of you. And he's like, no, I'm for real. I'm proud of you, mommy. And I'm just thinking, what did I do that was so good or so grand that I got 3 great kids that really understand the value of family? Like, they really love each other. They take time out. They want to converse with one another. And they take time out and they want to converse with their mother and their dad. And they're obedient, they're sweet, and they're kind to people. And even if I'm having a moment and I'm in my moment and I start to be like, oh, and she'd be like, remember, mom, remember, you don't put out in the universe what you don't want to get back. And I'm like, don't use my words against me. Do not use my words against me, please. Thank you. Okay. And they just, I don't know, they're just pretty awesome people, if I must say so myself. And I have to say, I cannot take the credit for it because I stayed on my knees in prayer raising these children. And to this day, I keep them in prayer. And I will keep my grandbabies in prayer because I have 2 grandbabies from my oldest son. And we live so far away, I don't like that at all. I'm going to have to pray on that. But yeah, and they're just phenomenal people that I love being around and hanging around. Like, they're awesome people. Like, literally, if I didn't know them and I met them on the street, I'd be like, your mom and daddy did a really good job. Tell them so. So, yeah, but my daughter and I have this relationship. She'll call me or she'll send me a text and say, hey, mommy, I need you. I really need you. And I'll say, is there something specific you need? And she'll say, I just need time. I need time with you. I need to spend time with you. I need you to come and spend time with me so we can talk like we used to. I miss that. And that's the hardest thing for them during this divorce has been like, mom is not accessible to me 24/7. You know, that talking and camaraderie and them saying, mommy, it's been a rough day. Can you make such and such for dinner on Thursday or Friday? Or can you do this or can you do that? And to me, that's my pleasure because that's why I had them. Like, it brings me joy to make their day better or to give them some semblance of joy. We're not rich people by any stretch of the imagination, but we are rich in love. We are rich in support. We are rich in care and kindness and generosity and the fruit of the Spirit. You know, so I love those guys because they're just so wonderful. And even if they don't believe what I believe any longer, they still take it into account. And they still tell me, mommy, I do remember this and I do remember that you taught me. But I just, you know, I remember and I know it's just that I need to be myself right now. And I need to look into other things that I feel that I want to look into. But the beauty of it is because we love each other, we give each other that space and time to be individuals. And that's the beauty of being a mother. It's like there's a time to nurture your children and hold them so very dearly close. And you have to be mindful of that, and you have to take full advantage and love of that. Live in that moment, because they grow so fast, and then it's over, and then you're left with the memories and wishing that you woulda, coulda, shoulda did something better, and you're gonna wish that anyway. But live in that moment. Some of the best and beautifulest moments were when those little dirty hands were on my cheek saying, "But mommy, I need you to pay full attention to me and listen to the words that I am saying to you. I need eye contact." They didn't know what that meant, but they said it because they wanted my attention. So it's like those 3 little people grew me in marvelous ways that I didn't know were possible. Like, they grew me up, for real, for real. They were beautiful. And I miss it. I'm happy for the time now, don't get me wrong, because I like going and coming as I please and not having to worry about childcare and all that great stuff. But I still want to love them and hug on them sometimes and love on them and cook dinners. I still want us, eventually when we get to a spot that we can have family dinners and come together, because that's what I grew up on. So, yeah. To my babies, you know who you are. I don't have to say your names, because y'all know where y'all stand in my heart. That's what I love about it. Like, even if it's unspoken, y'all know, but you know how mommy is. I gotta speak it. You are some incredible light beings from the ethers, and I am fortunate and honored to call myself your mother. And I'm gonna get off of here before I start crying. Love, peace, and light. And light and darkness working together for the greater good of all mankind. I love you guys. My beginning soul tribe. Mwah. Mommy loves you and prays for you every day. Namaste.